Andrew, Spencer, Ben, and Biggs, get ready. You're next on episode 35 of the Reddit Golf Swing Analysis Series. Ladies and gentlemen of the Lion Golf Academy, welcome back to another episode of the Reddit Golf Swing Analysis Series. This is episode 35, and in this series we have 4 swing submissions from the Reddit users, and we diagnose cause and effect, and look at what's going on with their motions. Keep in mind, this is not to replace a lesson, nor is this a be-all end-all. This is just a suggestion based on what I see, and to help educate those based on what they give me. If you do wish to be featured on this, go ahead and send me a video down the line and face on. Make sure it's the same club if you can, and also make sure your down the line is at least knee height and directly behind your club face. Keep in mind, this is the first time I see these videos, and I like to keep it that way just to keep things fresh. And lastly, if you do like this content, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and also leave a comment if you wish. Let me know how you're doing with your swing, and if you have any updates, let me know as well. But other than that, let's get going. Let's see who is first. Alright, first we have Andrew. Andrew in his notes says that he is figuring out how to stop his over the top. I think it may be since he flips open the club face right away, and also kind of stand up on the shot as well. Alright, let's take a look. No flexibility issues that he mentioned, so we'll just see what's going on here. Yeah, I see that definitely pulls the club back, hands and arms first, kind of leaning into the shot. I do see standing up, your weighting's definitely on your toes, so definitely posture loss if I were to imagine from your down the line. But let's put some lines up right away. So, wrong line here. Let's put a back brace line. Let's put your shoulder tilt. Might be a little bit too much tilt. I'm not sure what club this is, doesn't say. Alright, so then we're going to put a spine angle line just to match your shoulder line. You can see your spines. Okay, so your spine's pretty decent. I'd say maybe a little bit too much shoulder tilt. Your hands are slightly pressing the golf ball, which again, you know, it's not that extreme as I have seen. However, this could limit your release and your rotation points, so we'll take a look at an impact from that and see how it goes. Your head, let's put something around your head here. All right, let's take this club back. So immediately you see by you forward pressing and pulling your hands back, look at your new starting position, which is matching your shoulder tilt. So your hands are kind of returning back to where they would like to be, which again is now all of a sudden you are in an extreme position. And this, if you release this club head and you strike down your bottoms here, you can see, you definitely strike it down the ball from this point of view, but you won't be able to release the club face. You'll develop a hold on, or you'll start to compensate it other ways. And for you, it looks like you stand up a little bit, just like you mentioned in your notes. But as we take the club back to parallel to the ground, you can see, there's not much turning involved. It looks like your shoulder tilting is leveling, so we'll be able to see from the down the line. And leveling means that your left shoulder is getting a little bit higher, leveling out, which could cause your plane lines to be lower. And then you have to reroute on the way back, and you might stand up and get your hands to be involved the way through. So we'll definitely see the down the line, but it's nice to see the face on as well first. Okay. Club doesn't get too far back, which is nice. But you get a little forward lean going on here. Now this upper body's leaning towards the target a little bit too much. That's going to start shifting your angle of attack even more to be kind of steeper. But we'll have to see the down the line of what you tend to do. Yeah, and you get a little bit stuck. So now your hips aren't really able to drive that force. More like your upper body drove it early. And now you're coming into it with a steep descending blow. And by you moving towards the target, even if it's only 6 or 7 inches, that ball positions move further back. Plus you had an extreme forward press, so now you're kind of in trouble. And so your hands have to kind of release a little bit too soon, and they do. They're trying to catch up to retime this whole forward press issue, so they have to get back to some sort of form of neutral. And for you to clear the room for your hands to release early, you have to stand up and get out the way, because now that club face is much longer than when it started, because things have extended. So now you're jumping out of the way, which gets you to your toes, and you're not able to get a good weight transfer as a result, and your hands kind of flip through, and then you just kind of go through the motions from there. So from front line, I can definitely see what this would appear like down the line, but let's take a look at down the line. All right, Andrew, let's just take a look at the swing before. Okay, not a lot of spine angle loss, which is good. You know, you're definitely just coming on up. Now, your alignment is definitely open to your target as well. So we're going to draw some plane lines for you. Lower plane, upper plane, little back brace line. We're going to do a little spine angle line to see if you're able to stay in that. You do a pretty good job. Arms are a little bit tucked in, but not too bad. Shoulders are definitely open. However, you can see your foot line is pointing here. Your club face line is trying to point parallel to that, but your shoulder line is definitely, you know, open. And I think you're going to open it even more once you get that first part of your takeaway. And you can definitely see it's open. Okay, so now we take that club back. And we know that you lift your arms and hinge pretty soon. Not a lot of turn established already, so I'd recommend turning the hips a little bit more. Although, because you're so squatted down and over, it's really hard to turn because of your knee bend. So maybe a little bit taller might help you out, get established that turn right away. At the top of your swing here, you know, you get a little bit higher than your upper plane line. And now you've established that turn. You really squatted, you're sitting down, but you have started to, you know, even lower. You can see your headlines coming a little bit lower than when you first started. As you come on back down, it's really hard to get into the slot because things are up. Now you have to reroute your hands, but since you start, you know, leaning into the shot and turning, it's going to be really hard for you to come in onside because you actually have to drive your hips and drop your shoulders to drop in that slot, but you do this instead of under. So as a result, your plane lines will always be very steep. You can see how steep this is. You know, at this point, that club should follow that plane line, but you still have a tough time doing it. It's coming steep and over the top, and then your flip on through. Impact, though, you can see you're holding your spine angle pretty well, so your body's doing a really good job of staying in the posture. The weighting, however, is off to your toes. You can see both toes are on the ground, both heels are up in the air. Now that might just be to create some room for you to release as you have that premature release. That premature release is probably just caused because you don't tilt at the top of your swing. You tend to turn. And you can see here, there's just not a lot of tilting going on. Now you're trying to tilt, but it's a little bit too late. So the tilting is this motion here. Now once you get your spine angle established, you don't really increase your tilt. You just turn around your spine. But if your spine is moving up and down, and your arms are pulling your shoulders away from that spine angle, that's where you're going to have some issues with your plane. So, you know, just based on these two swings, I would definitely recommend getting your setup corrected. In terms of your ball position, it looks okay. I know it's off to that forward foot, but that's I'm almost a fan of that. But sometimes when you get it off your forward foot to reach that golf ball, you open up your shoulders, which is what it looks like you're doing here. So, you know, get with somebody who can help you out with grip alignment, set of posture drills to help you get in the better starting position. Your takeaway, you definitely need a deeper takeaway in terms of your hips getting more engaged, getting your arms to stay lower as they turn and tilt, instead of kind of picking up that club. I know it's a hard thing to stop just because it's so reactionary with your hands and arms, but the more you can turn, the more you can establish that turn right away and get your arms to follow your turn. Then you'll be able to get to that secondary plane line without being very steep. And then you can start working on transitioning with your hips and your feet first into the target instead of that lean into the target. That lean in the target is really going to cause your outside in. It's going to be a really hard thing for you to try and correct. So some drills that you can try and do. There's a bucket drill where you put a bucket in your chest and you just turn away from the target and extend your arms away from the bucket. Gives you that flexibility, gives you that tension on your right side as you get that turn. You can always lay a golf club on your left hip here and just turn your hips right away so that club falls down. And when the club falls down, it's going to face down here. So, you know, the grip will fall down and face your target, and that'll show you that you turn right away. But if you need more clarification, let me know in the comments, and I can link to you to some videos. But hopefully that helps you. And let me guess where you're from. And that looks like a Dodger blue hat, so I'm going to have to stay with LA somewhere. Don't know if that's LA skies or LA grass, but it does kind of look like LA grass because half of it's dead. So with that severe drought we got going on, I'm going to say LA, so hopefully that's correct. Let me see who is next. All right, next on the screen we have Ben. All right, Ben, let's take a look here. Let's look at your notes. Where is Ben's notes? There we go. Nothing. Just would like a little review. All right, so no information here, so we'll just take a look at what we got. Driver setup here. Looks like a nice windy day. I'm gonna go right now and tell you from Georgia. Don't know why, but let's just say Georgia. All right, well, you seem to make this work. Definitely stay behind the ball. Some lower body, maybe some limitations in your turn. Okay, I think I would recommend right off the bat to go through some sort of range of motion testing. Anybody that has a left knee that buckles in that much could be due to with some range of motion issues down in your hips, hip flexors, maybe even your sides here, your lats, kind of pulling everything down. So definitely need some range of motion testing done on you. But okay, you still look pretty balanced. Lower body's driving. All right, let's take a look here. So we got that little forward press going on. Now in relation to your spine angle, hands are going right through that. Look where that ball position should be. It should be off your left foot here, way over there. So you don't really want to establish a forward lean with your driver because we're actually trying to hit on the way up. And if you have a forward lean with your driver, it's really hard to swing up because that club face is always going to be traveling down too much, if that makes sense. So I like your setup. I think you need a little bit more weight on your right foot. Maybe shift your whole center behind the golf ball. You can see your center right now. If we draw a straight line down your center, it's just behind the ball, where it should be a little bit more behind the ball. Specifically, the club face should be in line with that left foot. So that's where your setup is down over here. Now, you can just move that golf ball way inside your left foot and try a couple swings from there and just swing like you're doing now. You have a very strong grip, so that usually affects your turning and tilting. So let's see at impact how much you are turning and tilting. There's definitely a lot more tilt going on here. Hands are still pressing. Release is low on the left side and high on the right side, which means that excess turn and tilt on the way through. Weight, however, does stay behind the ball, which is great. So you can see how, your spine angle at the start is where that X is. And then as you swing through, the spine angle is still behind you. So it's really solid in terms of your centeredness. Personally, I mean, you're making this work. I see, the glaring issue with your left knee buckling down, but you do a good job recovering. I'm looking at your weight distribution, and you're definitely pushing off that right toe and trying to distribute it. Now it kind of spins out on you, your left heel spins out on you. So, but I think that just comes from your excessive turn because of that strong grip. You have to turn a lot to help your hands not release. So your hands are trying to slow down and not release while your body has to release it for you to stop you from snap hooking it. So I like it. I think that there's some things that I would address, but it's really hard from this point of view. The first thing I would address is your ball position. Just change your ball position a little bit more forward, relax the hands a little bit to kind of connect everything, your shaft all the way up through your spine. So it's a nice one long piece right here. And then you can just, turn and tilt around this. I want you to think that everything is like you're carrying a 50-pound bag of cement, and you're trying to throw that bag of cement as far as you can ahead of you. And we do that by staying centered and turning. We don't really rock our body back and forth, and our foundation doesn't get underneath us. So you can see your foundation underneath you, it kind of falls apart, but you reconnect it. So let's take a look at the down the line if we have that. All right, Ben, we got this down the line here. All right, you got a bunch of videos here, a bunch of swings. Okay, let's pick this one. Okay, closed feet. We know you got that forward press. Okay, yeah, I see it. All right, so let's pull this up here. So I know this isn't quite exactly down the line. It's a little bit off to the side, which will skew our planes a little bit. But let's just see what we have here. Okay, club is really shut. See how shut that club is? So at this point, the club is pointing toe down. Now you would like it, you know, to obviously match that spine angle. Now you can see how many degrees that is. I don't know, what's that, 15 degrees? So there's a lot of manipulation going on that you have to do with your body. As you take that club back, it's still kind of shut. Come on back through, you drop it in the slot nicely though. You're kind of standing up, holding on to that release. Your body has to turn a lot, and you just release that one too. So that's going to give you that low left ball flight. You know, your grip makes this swing work, or the swing makes the grip work. So we don't know which one came first. You started gripping it really strong, so you developed this, you know, close club face, holding onto the release and turning. Every now and then you can probably snap hook this golf ball or block it so far to the right because your hands are kind of out of it. So when they're too much out of it, your body opens up, changes your plane, you miss it right. When your hands and arms get slightly into it, you know, even if they close down 5 or 6 degrees, that golf ball's going left and even more left. So you've learned to manipulate your body correctly to accommodate that. Now, this is a tough swing to diagnose some swing changes, because if we start changing your grip position or your rotation or anything like that, your whole swing's going to kind of fall apart because they're so relied upon each other. So 2 options for you. You know, you can take things slowly. I would, you know, take things slowly with the fundamentals. So alignment, your grip, your setup, your posture, your ball position, staying more centered like you are doing. If you wanted to eliminate that left lead thing, you have to take care of your range of motion. I think you might be a little bit tight in some areas, which is causing your whole lower body to break down to get that turn established. But the swing works. So it's a tough one to diagnose because, you know, if you break one thing, the whole thing will fall apart. So I don't want that to happen to you. So let me know in the comments what you would like me to suggest for you. If you have any drills that you want me to try and help you out with, or if you can go get a range of motion testing done, let me know what the results are. But I'm really curious of what they are. And I think you're pretty tight in some areas, specifically your hips and your back. But let me guess where you're from. I think I already guessed. I think I did. If I didn't, Wichita. But if I did, let me know if I'm right. Hopefully that helps. Let's see who is next. All right, next we have Biggs. All right, Biggs, with the big video. I like it. Okay, wow, that's a lot of turn you got going on there. Both directions. Okay, there's not a lot of hand manipulation going at all. Let's see what we have here for your notes. Typically strike with inconsistent strikes. Main culprit being fat shots. I launch the ball extremely high, which isn't killing my game with irons and such, but really hurts my driver distance. All right, so interesting, because, you know, launching the ball high, we want to kind of increase our launch angle with drivers to help you. Now, your launch might come from spin, might come from angle of attack, which creates a higher loft with more spin. So if you want to send me a driver video, I can take a look at that for you. But let's look at your iron motion. So I really applaud the fact that you hardly use your wrists. This is something that's pretty rare with golfers. Let's look at your ball position. So shoulders, spine angle. Okay, hands are pretty good. Ball position is slightly back of where it should be, so maybe scoot it up just a little bit. You do have a little manufactured forward lean going on here. And let's look at your head levels. All right, we take that club back. We can see we're kind of rocking, almost like a stack and tilt, where you're pushing out your right hip and you're tilting around, which gives you now a new spine angle of one that is leaning into the target. Now, ideally, you want to stay in your original spine angle. Now, what this will do is will definitely increase your angle of descent, because anything that is steeper, you know, this, you're trying to turn, but your weight's stuck on the left side. You're going to still be stuck on the left side unless you fall back to hit the golf ball. And we'll take a look at what you do. But just by this, you can see your arms are very low. in comparison to your steepness of your spine angle. So the steepness this way. So anytime your spine angle turns this way. So when you look at this picture here, you see the angle of your so this is the primary spine angle and this is the secondary spine angle. So this is your new one. It's moved into the target, a good 5 or 10 degrees. That's going to change a lot. Now let's see how you get back down into it. Do you fall back, or do you even go, okay, you even go further left. So now, your angle, we'll be able to tell from the down the line, but you've essentially placed your ball position now. Look at where your center is now, or where it started. So you started here, it's moved up a good foot. That puts your hands way ahead of the golf ball. I can see why you don't use much of your hands, because if you do start releasing that club face, there's going to be, issues with your directional control. It also increases your angle of attack by having this spine angle that's been tilted into the target and then further left into the target. So we'll take a look at down the line, but you can see there's no release. You just hold on for dear life as your body comes through that golf ball. This is really, really hard to do, because look at this. You have a beautiful turn here, and your hands and arms are still connected to the center, and the club shaft is almost straight right through. So there is zero manipulation of the hands and arms. This is something that's really hard to do. So kudos to you for doing this. I like this position. I think it's a great job that you do this. You need to just focus on staying in your posture. So try not to get that lean forward as you take that club back. Try not to get that tilt and lean forward, but just go ahead and turn and stay centered. And if you turn and stay centered, your arms and hands should kind of connect to that secondary plane line, and you can just stay where you are and turn through and get some release going. You need to hinge and unhinge. And you hinge, but you don't really unhinge, and you just hold on for dear life as your body creates a lot of power. So just imagine what you can do if you get your hands and arms involved. You can increase your club head speed by multiple tens of miles an hour. So let's look at down the line and see what we have to work with. All right, Biggs, I have to move my face around here to fit us all in. Yeah, look at that. Look at that club face. It's still wide open. Look at that. So that club face, this is where your spine angle is. The club face is still wide open to that spine angle. So it's no wonder your spin rate's probably got to be through the roof at that position. But boy, you make it work. Look at that. All right, so another really interesting swing that you've made work. Let's just take a look at what we need to do for some educational purposes. So your posture is a little bit tall, arms are kind of reaching out away from you, so maybe get that upper body to kind of lean down a little bit more, get the hands and arms to relax a little bit more. I'm not sure if these clubs are fitted correctly for you, which is causing you to compensate to make the clubs work for you, but that's where I'd first start out. Again, your ball position from the face-on view that we saw, definitely move more in the center of your spine and make sure it's all connected for you. Let's take a look at the way you take the club back. Okay, we're gonna put the head brace line. All right, so you take the club back, you see now this could be the camera angle, but it's definitely going a little bit outside. So you're lifting the hands up, and I don't know if it's lifting the hands up or if it's your left shoulder that's tilting as you turn. Now when your left shoulder tilts as you turn, like we saw from that down the line, that pulls your hands up as a result. So I think just more turn and less tilt. Get to the top of the swing here, you see your rotation. Your rotation numbers, you're well past 90. You're probably about 120 degrees. Your hips are probably closer to 50, 55 degrees. So you take the two differences, you probably have about 55, 60 degrees of X factor. If you want to keep that X factor the same, just get 40 degrees of rotation and 100 degrees of upper body rotation. So you don't have to do a lot of manipulation on the way back. If this camera angle is right behind you, see your hands be a little bit higher. That club face will be laid off, which you can see is trying to reach that secondary plane line. But as you come on back down through, there's so much rotation, the hands are still decently connected. They should be a little bit further out away from you. That way they don't have to play catch up on you. But as you come on back through, you still pretty good staying that spine angle. You haven't lost that much posture, and you strike down the golf ball, but you definitely delay that. I mean, the club face is still open past impact. So it's a tough one because a lot of good things that you do. I mean, I'm trying to emulate with my students what you do. I mean, if I could take what you do and put it to most of my students that have a tough time learning how to strike through the golf ball with their body, you know, you're the extreme the other way, but the good extreme in my opinion. So tough one here because you've made this work. You know, you can't really change much depending on how much you've practiced. I mean, if you're brand new to the game and this is your swing, you can try and work with it. But if you're playing this game for 20 years and this is your swing, it's going to be really hard at trying to change your motions. But I would recommend, you know, going through some address changes, some posture changes, just to help you get a little bit more lenient for your hands and arms to release. And then just work on staying in your posture. Don't get that lean into the target. Just turn and start to roll the club open and close and feel what it's like to release. You know, we want your good body turn, but we also need the club to open and close. But right now it's just going square to square. There's a swing theory out there called square to square. I want you to look it up because that's basically what you're trying to do. You're trying to keep that club face square to square and let your body square the club face up for you by rotating. So there's two ways. You know, you can square to square with your hands and arms, or just keep things tight and square to square with your body. You're this person, which is a rare thing. So this is a rare swing. I want to congratulate you for your rare swing, but best of luck to you. Let me know if you need some extra advice. And I'm going to guess you're from, those look like pine trees, Arizona. Looks too green to be Arizona, but you know, Flagstaff. I'm going to say Flagstaff. Hope that helps you. Let me know. And hope that helps you. Let me know. And let's see who is final. All right, last up we have Spencer. Let's take a look, Spencer. I like that. Spencer, the older and better. That's no way to talk to yourself, Spencer. All right, some spine loss going on here. Oh, good, you got them both in the same one. Okay. Let's take a look at this one first. All right, Spencer. So, look at that forward press. Got your spine angle. Spine's going right through your hands, which is good. So you have about, what's that, 25 degrees of forward press going on right now, which is not an ideal thing because you cannot really release the club face, specifically with how much weight is on your left side at start, and it even goes further left at impact, which will cause some releasing issues. So you will either hit the ball extremely heavy, or you'll start to compensate by standing up slightly and getting your hands and arms to do the work for you, because you can't turn and tilt depending on your range of motion and your flexibility. So let's take a look at, let's go straight to impact and see what happens. So there's your impact. You can see how your center of your body has moved forward about, what's that, 3-4 golf balls. So it's about 4 or 5 inches, and your hands have returned where they were. There's not much turn and tilt going on here to supplement that forward press. So as a result, your hands have to kind of scoop and flip at it. And do they scoop and flip at it? We can see there's no much turn. There's a little bit of a scooping going on here. You're kind of thin. Club face shuts down on you. And now we turn to look good. Okay, so you need to get that turn a little bit sooner. But look at how much weight is going on your left side. I mean, you're leaning to your left side. So you start centered, you get to the top fairly centered, and then you start sliding left. Now when you slide left with a forward press, you're increasing your forward press by another 5 or 6 degrees, and then you're done, unless you really turn and tilt. But even then, your golf ball is going to be so far back of where it needs to be that you have to throw to at least hit the golf ball. And you throw and stand up to get out your own way. So first of all, let's take a look at some basics. So when you are setting up, I want you to just remember that the goal of hitting your golf ball is not manipulating your hands and arms to do work. Your hands and arms are there just to release the power that your body creates. Now, if your body doesn't create any power, your hands and arms are going to be forced to not only release what little power you have, but also create some power to hit the golf ball. Your hands and arms are the last line of defense to hit something. And that's why athletes, people that are professional athletes, get away with so much more, because they have really good hand-eye coordination and they can just get away with stuff. The less athletically inclined you are and the less range of motion you have, it becomes tougher and tougher to strike the golf ball. So you want to think about neutral everything. So if you draw your head line straight down, your head's way ahead of the golf ball, pull your head back a little bit, stand a little bit taller, let your hands relax, move that golf ball position in a friendlier place. So for you, definitely in the center to slightly forward to help you give enough room to turn and tilt. Because if that golf ball is way back here, you can't turn and tilt, because the more you turn and tilt, the more it shoves your hands out in front of you and the less time you have to release it, and you're going to come right over the top of the ball or you miss the ball completely. So you've learned to stop turning and tilting, and you've learned to let your hands help you out. So I know that you probably have the best intentions to try and get this forward lean, to think like you're striking down the golf ball, but in all reality, it's doing much more damage than good. So let's just take a look again as you take the club back. So yeah, you're stuck on that side. So you do a really good job of turning, right? So everything is here, you're turning. If that golf ball was where it needs to be, so we draw a little star over there. It's a horrible star, but if that golf ball is where it needs to be, as you come through, even if you move slightly left, look at how much more time you have to strike that golf ball. And you can do this now. You have 2 or 3 more frames before you hit the golf ball where it should be, and you can do that by turning. If my hands are connected to my chest and I just turn, where do my hands go? My hands go with my chest. They don't go independent. So you've learned to be independent, because if you don't do that, you would miss the ball entirely. So let's take a look at the down the line and see if that helps you out a little bit more there. All right, Spencer, let's take a look here. We got the down the line. I don't know where you're from. I want to say Prim Valley, right by the border of California and Nevada. Just looks like Prim Valley for some reason. I know it's not, but I'm just say Prim Valley or Wichita. But let's take a look at this. Setup looks okay, a little bit, hunched over. When you get going, you're nice and centered. Then you get that lean left and you flip. Now, when you start flipping, a couple of things you'll notice is you need to create some room for that flip. So you're doing a pretty good job here. But what's happening with your spine angle? Your spine angle is starting to stand up and get out the way to create some room for your hands to flip. Now, when that happens, you start losing some posture. See, look at impact. There's no rotation at all. So even following through impact, you can see here that you've stood out of your posture. You've come on into the golf ball. So some weight distribution issues could be causing this. I'm going to say at the starting position, you look a little bit too hunched over and forward. So your weight's already predetermined to be on your toes. Now, when it's predetermined to be too much on your toes, your weight is going to search for that center. And it's always going to be struggling on your toes, so it's really hard to pull away from the ball and stay in your spot posture while you strike down on it. Now, pair that with your forward press, and then as you move into the golf ball, you have to flip. You have to create some room to hit that golf ball. I think your best advice that I can give you right now is, stand a little bit closer, a little bit taller. Try and get that turn and tilt right away, because as you take that club face back, you do a pretty good job of turning. Club face is slightly open to your spine angle. You get to that top plane line pretty good. Arms kind of become a little bit by themselves. You see this here? You've already established your turn, but look at your arms. They just keep falling back. Now that puts your arms way back behind, which is maybe why you feel like you have to lean left and throw them to get the back out in front. But then also look at this. Your right leg is really straight. Your left leg is bowing down. You'd like to have some sort of brace in both legs to keep that weight distribution more centered on your feet. Because as this straightens up, this one bows down, your whole weight starts to tip into your toes. And you can see your head height dips. So here your head height starts to dip and you're stuck on your toes. And now your right leg's trying to come out of that straightening posture, but it can't really turn anymore. So if everything is braced and turning with the hips, you cannot push into it and jump like 2 pistons. But since one piston is straight, it's trying to reconnect by going down again. You only have 1 second from the top of the swing to the actual golf ball contact. So not a lot can go in your favor in 0.1 second unless it's predetermined to go in your favor. So instead of you riding the ship, it should already be built and just kind of go through the motions. So definitely, posture loss is caused by some of this setup position, but also lack of turn. So you really need to get your whole body to turn and then set the club and then turn through. Stay centered. We don't need any motions back and forth. I have a drill that I'll try and link in the bottom description, but it's 3 easy drills to do at home, and it's just working with a wall. I use the garage door, but it's staying on that garage door, turning, tilting. You can use the shadow of the flag to see how your head moves, but you definitely need to get some elasticity going in your body to get that turn and tilt. So hopefully that helps you. And I know your brother as well sent me something, Peter, so I'll have to get Peter's in the next video. So Peter, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but Spencer beat you to it. I got him up first, but you'll be next, so don't worry about it. But I hope that helps you guys. If I confused anybody, if I confused you, Spencer, just let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer your questions and provide more information for you. But I hope that helps you, and we'll see you guys next time. Fairways and greens.
That the ride or die. I'm a OG boy. Know that the ride or die. I keep boys by my seat.